Hey guys, Garrett back for Sableye the Mind Sculptor with another Frontier video. Sorry I've taken a few weeks off to study for my ACT, but now that the last question has been, officially bubbled in, I can get back to making content on a regular basis. So yeah, this is going to be a temur mid-range deck, so we play a little bit of ramp, some ahead of curve creatures, and some disruption, and we hope we get to 20. That's the main goal of this deck. Play big 3 and 4 drops, count to 20, and you're done. So starting with our mana base, we have, of course, all of our basics: forests, mountains, and islands, as well as Botanical Sanctum and Yamiwawa Coast for green-blue, Game Trail for green-red, Shivan Reef, and Spirebluff Canal for Is It. Moving on to the creatures, we of course have Elvish Mystic. Huge creature in this deck. Lets us play 3 drops on turn 2, and that's really a big deal. Like, it seems small, but that is really a big deal in decks like these. We also have Rattleclaw Mystic. It's fine for Frontier, and it's also very good because it fixes our colors, and you can play it as a morph to ramp yourself 1 if you need to. I like this card. Honestly, just having a 2/1 for 2 that does this is fine. So also at the 2-drop slot, we have Voltaic Brawler. Basically a 4/3 for 2 when it's attacking, which is really good. And honestly, I don't plan on having this thing around for that many turns, so it really is fine at what it does. Moving on, at our 3-drop slot, we have Yasova Dragonclaw. Yasova is really good at dealing damage. I think she's undervalued. Having access to a threaten effect every turn can be really strong against some decks, especially decks where they have creatures that need to not go into combat, or lots of creatures with 3 power she really preys on. We also have Savage Knucks because this is very efficient. 3 for a 4/4 with a ton of relevant abilities, haste, protection, and pump abilities. That's a very strong card. And then moving up to 4 drops, we've got some Thunderbreak Regents, because Thunderbreak Regent is hilariously hard to deal with for some decks. The thing about Thunderbreak Regent is that you always get the damage. Even if they deal with it, you get the damage. You pay 4 mana, they deal with your Thunderbreak Regent, they spend a card to let you deal them 3 damage. It's a very good card. And then Surak the Huntcaller for haste shenanigans. You'll have Formidable a lot by turn 4, so haste shenanigans are really strong. So moving on to our spells, we have a couple of Radiant Flames, which is very strong because you can select how much damage you do. It'll usually be 2 because you won't usually have the triple red to get the 1 damage, but having it X2 even is very strong. You leave your Surak Huntcaller alive and you wipe their board of little guys, or that's not a very relevant example, but you do it X1, you do it X2. When you have creatures that have 3 or so toughness, you end up having basically a one-sided board wipe. Then we have Stubborn Denial. Stubborn Denial is good because nobody expects a 1-mana counterspell on Frontier until they've seen it. So if it doesn't, the first game that it gets played in, it loses a lot of its effectiveness because they can start to play around it. But before they know that you have it, they'll happily play spells out into 1 blue mana because that isn't anything in Frontier. This is really good against hardened scales. And honestly, I think main board 1 mana negate, which is what this turns out being a lot of the time, is good in this format. There's Collected Company in aggressive decks. There's Fatal Push in aggressive decks, honestly. Keeping yourself from getting Fatal Pushed and Lightning Bolted in the aggro matchups is good. Keeping your spells from getting countered in the control matchups is good. This card's just all around a pretty good meta call, I think. We also have a couple of Blossoming Defenses. Good for combat tricks, good for keeping your creatures safe from spells. I think this is fine as a 2 of, but I do think it has a place in the deck. And then lastly, we have some more direct answers. A couple of Fiery Impulse to stop early creatures. Lightning Strike, because Lightning Strike is really good in decks where you can hit creatures with it or hit them in the face and be happy. So because this is like a count to 20 deck, having the ability to bolt them in the face for 3 is just really nice. This is creature removal, but it's also just a good burn spell. And then Spell Shrivel basically says counter target spell and exile it. No one is going to be able to pay 4 mana for it, and the mana on this is a lot more forgiving than on Disallow or Void Shatter. Moving into our sideboard, we have the rest of our Suburb Denial because you want them in some matchups. We have one more Spell Shrivel. We don't have the full set. I just wanted one more. We had 14 cards in the board, and I decided one more Spell Shrivel won't hurt. Ceremonious Rejection is good against a couple of things in this format. Smash to Smithereens is strong against artifact decks. Having the ability to, smash something and then also bolt them in the face is really good. The rest of our Radiant Flames, because honestly, you really need to have this in the Atarka Red matchup. Arlen Cord, because she's good against a few things. I like having Planeswalkers in the control matchup, and honestly, playing Arlen Cord and on turn 5 with Suburb Denial backup is really good against control, because even if they counter her, you save your thing, and then you can just start grinding out value because you have a Planeswalker. Lastly, a couple of Feed the Clan for the Burn/Atarka Red matchup, and a single copy of Shamanic Revelation for Science. If I play with this deck, I'm going to just take this in when I feel like I should, and honestly, it seems like a good card, but it seems really situational, so I'll have to play around with this a bit. Anyway, I hope you like the deck. That is all for now. I do have a couple of other Frontier decks in the works, as I've posted on Twitter if you follow me. I am going to do mostly Frontier stuff for the foreseeable future, so expect more of that, and peace out.